The defendant had particular demands for freak-offs. At his direction, the defendant's staff set up the room in advance with supplies, like his preferred lighting, extra linens, and lubricant. His staff remained on call to refresh anything the defendant needed, like cash to pay the escorts or drugs for the women and the defendant. The hotel rooms were dark. The defendant instructed Cassie and Jane how to look, to dress in lingerie, wear tall platform high heels, and have manicured white nails. The defendant selected drugs for Cassie and Jane to take, usually MDMA, also known as Molly or ecstasy. Sometimes those drugs made Cassie and Jane sick, but they also made the woman more uninhibited and sexually aroused. The defendant fed Cassie and Jane drugs throughout the freak-off so they could stay awake and perform for him for hours and days at a time. Once an escort arrived, the defendant dictated every step of the sexual activity that followed the same pattern. And he expected the women to enjoy themselves, to appear to, while they did it. The defendant masturbated throughout the freak-offs and often video recorded part of them. Now, I want to tell you more about Cassie and about Jane. Cassie was a 19-year-old model, an aspiring singer with a hit song when she met the defendant in 2006. The defendant was 17 years older than her and the head of a record label. Soon, Cassie was signed to a 10-album deal with the label. The defendant pursued Cassie, and within a year, they were dating. They stayed together on and off until about 2018. During that time, Cassie tried to work on her music and in modeling and acting, but the defendant made her turn down many opportunities. Instead, he paid for Cassie's cars, her apartments, and some of her day-to-day expenses. Although Cassie recorded music constantly, the defendant, the head of her record label, had final say on the music that she released. It was never another album. The defendant started abusing Cassie early on. Initially, Cassie fought back, but time and again, the defendant hit Cassie in the head, threw her to the ground and kicked her, and dragged her by the hair. In 2009, the defendant threw Cassie to the floor of an SUV and stomped repeatedly on her face. To hide her injuries, the defendant forced Cassie to stay in a hotel for the next week. He refused to let her leave and had a staff check on her to make sure she stayed put. The defendant also introduced Cassie to freak-offs early on.